We were talking a little earlier today, Mike. We remember old Mike Gundy, the Oklahoma State coach. He once said, "I'm a man. I'm 40. Come at me. If you want something."
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
So I'm definitely older than 40, but we came to man up today. You got a call last night from our mutual friend Jonathan Smith, and I'll let you use his words, but he was wondering, were we going to man up today and talk about what unfortunately happened at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium last night?
Well, our good friend John basically said, "You ain't about shit if you don't go on and own that one." So
so here we are. Well, the Alabama people we ran into, they were we just really enjoyed talking to them. Nice people. They're as passionate about Alabama as we are about Georgia, man. They love it and they follow it. But the one guy, you'll recall, I don't know what, maybe this was something providential as well, but the one guy was a youth minister, right, on the MARTA bus. And then we get down to our seats. We're in seats 1 and 2. Well, who's in seat 3 in the Georgia section, but an Alabama fan, and what? A pastor in a church in Alabama. So yesterday, like you were talking about, even the away fans we've encountered yesterday, the old guy in Tennessee out there at the Tennessee River near the dock, he just broke it down. He told us exactly what was going to happen in that game and, kind of where Tennessee would land at the end of the year.
He was an old football coach, that guy, and I didn't really feel like he was going to be comfortable with like some interview setting, so I didn't do that. But I will, Johnny, since you mentioned it, I will go back to something else he said. He'd been a lifelong Tennessee fan and was going to die that way. But he said something like, "Just remember, boys, y'all are on a great ride, but it never lasts."
Yes. Yeah. Well, more prophecy from the old man at the dock,
Yeah. From our own comments right after, I'd begun to point out, that Johnny had seemed like some questionable calls and blah, blah. And we ourselves came right to, nah, we're not going to be that guy. We're not going to be that team.
Right.
And I felt a lot of sentiment like that. Some good comments from Brock Bowers. I've seen.
Yes, those were outstanding, man. No tears, right?
Yeah.
We're better than that. No excuses.
And, we need to own it. I would add, Johnny, too, having seen all these games, Georgia lived dangerously this year sometimes.
We sat through, that Auburn game, Mike, you and I, we were already kind of like, oh, man, if this thing goes like this, we were already kind of writing this episode, right? We don't have a soapbox to stand on. Michigan and Washington are undefeated conference champions, and they played in solid conferences, Mike. Michigan beat Ohio State, good team. We saw Washington knock out Oregon twice, and I believe Oregon's a really good team.
Yep.
Bama beat us head up, and Texas beat them head up, and they're a conference champion as well. So I'm just not in that camp that's whining that Georgia should be in. We had our shot. I knew going up there last night, we had our shot, and our shot was to win last night. And I predicted the order and everything. I said it's going to be Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama. And I think they actually got the 4 teams right based on everything that's there. If I was a Florida State fan, I would be mad as you know what tonight. And I would say I would have the exact opposite argument. But as a college football fan, Mike, you and I sat out there in Los Angeles last year and watched Georgia just dismantle a TCU team that people were saying these same things about.
And as you pointed out last night, now I got to give some props to TCU. They beat Michigan to get to the game to play us.
Yes, they did.
And could Florida State work some kind of thing? Maybe. Absolutely.
this was voted on by sports writers, right? So all kinds of bias was in, the East Coast sports writers, they're going to vote for East Coast teams. The West Coast sports writers, they're going to vote for West Coast teams. So, that went on for years. And then the idea of this BCS came along, and it was, hey, if we just have analytics, if we just have real data in a computer that's unbiased, it just spits it out, it tells us who the two best are, and then obviously whoever wins, that's the best. Well, that was no good, because everybody said, well, what about this third team here, this fourth team, they should have been in it. So then they said, well, give us 4 and that'll fix it. Well, here we are tonight. We got 4, and it's not good enough. There's an argument for maybe a half dozen teams or more this year. So next year, Mike, it goes to 12. I will submit to you, there will still be arguments. I don't know whether it'll be more than 12, but I've already heard the debates beginning today about, well, what 4 teams will get buys, when the 12 teams. So you're never going to put an end to this stuff. There's got to be some element of human beings trying to determine, based on what they've seen over, a season, who are the best teams. And, going back to what I said a minute ago, I hate Georgia's not in it, but I really do feel like however they got there, I do think the committee did pick the 4 teams who are the best right now.
I'm looking forward to next year, of course, to see what Georgia develops with. I'm looking forward to that Orange Bowl game, which that's kind of what we were used to in the past, in the 40 years we spent in the wasteland. What kind of good game are we going to get? But, next year we'd be looking at a scenario, maybe we lost that game, but we're still in the show. We've still got a chance. Yeah. It makes a good story. We're looking at Florida State. Mm-hmm. Again, in the past, that'd be the kind of story that, dare I say, we might have even been satisfied with,
Yeah. Playing on New Year's Eve in a major bowl against a historic program like Florida State.
Yeah.
That was a nice concession for Georgia for years when we would come up short, So
yeah. And there's going to be high drama through, December 30th, who's going to play, who's leaving, and the same with other teams.
This is almost like NFL free agency that's about to take place with the transfer portal and NIL. I'll mention this to you. I just thought this was fascinating, and we talked about this yesterday. Carson Beck, guy had a great season. I think he probably didn't play his absolute best game last night, but he was good, but made a couple of mistakes. But Carson, based on where his draft looks like it could go in the NFL, he'll have a choice. Do I want to get drafted, sign an NFL contract, or do I want to come back to Georgia? And I read the other day that they're negotiating now, or they've already been negotiating with Carson, and the starting point is $1 million if he wants to come back and play at Georgia. In the past, you would have lost this guy. There's no chance he would have come back. He was, I'm taking that money because there wasn't available to me in the college game. So. We talked about the historic changes to the SEC next year without divisions. Just a crazy schedule next year, Mike. We're going to Tuscaloosa, going to Austin, Texas, going out to the Grove out in Oxford for the first time in quite a long time. Would love to get out there. Open the season with Clemson. Man, anybody who complained that Georgia didn't play a hard enough schedule next year, well, listen, we're going to double and triple that up next year. So get over it. I mean, it's going to be wild. And I'm just looking forward to it, Mike. I can't wait.
So we do have to acknowledge the ride that we've been on, and the level to which this team has grown, the staff we've got, the players. It's a blessing, Johnny, a total blessing.
On the sentiment that you just said, I did read a little article a little bit ago that Bill King, a UGA alum, writes occasionally for Dog Nation and other sports and media outlets. But I love what Bill said in that, don't be sad that the run ended. be happy that you witnessed it
Yeah.
and that it happened.
Got my brother on site today.
Get that ring.
Get that ring.
I'm gonna get that ring and I'm gonna propose with it.
Bring it, Ethan. Johnny.
Bling. Gonna get that bling.
Bling, bling. Every time I see it, bling, bling. Woo, we're going to get that ring today. Go Dogs.
We don't document it, but you and I both know that we're winning that tailgate battle on a regular basis.
We hold our own, I guess,
at
for
home.
50-plus-year-old men, I suppose.
Yeah. We've had a glorious ride, Johnny, with DawgTracks hadn't seen the dogs lose yet. But we are about the experience, and we're all about the Bulldogs. So we're riding that train, and we don't get off. So
yeah.
All right, Johnny.
Yeah, man.
Great trip. Hate to see that outcome, but as always, brother, we're there for life. Go Dogs.